It was on the 5th of August, the weather hot and fair, and to Brig Fair I did repair, for love I was inclined. I got up with a lark in the morning, and my heart was full of glee, expecting there to meet my dear, long time I'd wished to see. I looked over my left shoulder to see what I could see, and there I spied my own true love come tripping down to me. I took hold of her lily white hand, and so merrily sang my heart. And since we are together, we never more shall part. For the green leaves they will wither, and the roots they will decay, before the tide prove false to her, the lass that loves me well. Thank you, BookTube, for listening. If you have been, if you haven't switched off already, that's a song called Brig Fair. Today is the 5th of August, so I just thought I would indulge and sing it. It's an interesting song, and one of the very earliest recordings made. It was made. Percy Grainger, the composer, recorded a version of that in 1907 on wax cylinder from a man called Joseph Taylor in Brig in Lincolnshire, which is a small market town. So it's called Brig Fair, and apparently Brig Fair's been running since the year 1205. And it's been on today, I suppose. I've never been. It's about 50 miles away from where I am at this moment. But a small market town, I suppose it's Brig Fair is selling farming produce and things like that, I presume. Anyway, Percy Grainger recorded that song from this singer who was 70 years old at the time, Joseph Taylor. And he said he'd learnt it in 1850 from gypsies. They let him learn the song, and he was a very good singer. So even though he was in his 70s when he was recorded, he was a very fine singer. And that Brig Fair, they had music competitions, they had singing competitions, and so he won the first prize for that. And Grainger knew about the competition; they'd gone along. There was a big thing at that time to look into national music of various kinds. It was a sort of benign nationalism that was happening all over Europe, where people were investigating their own traditions, local traditions, not classical music, but the folk traditions. So, so Grainger did that, and he made a choral arrangement of the song, and Frederick Delius heard it. Who is a renowned composer, also from Bradford. Brig is in Lincolnshire, but anyway, Frederick Delius heard it, heard Grainger's choral arrangement of it, and made this symphonic poem out of it, which has become very well known. It's a very elaborate thing. It twists and turns all over the place with the tune, but Delius was impressed with the original tune, which is an interesting tune. It's in a modal key, modals, scale. So the Dorian mode. So the yeah, the sixth of the scale is augmented. So if you I sang that in the key of C. So yeah, C minor. Sorry. Yeah, it could be. You could think of it as C minor, but with a an augmented sixth, seventh, sixth to give that modal quality. So it's a fine tune anyway. So I just thought I'd put that in because it's the 5th of August and I'm talking about summer reading and the things I'm hoping to read and the things I have read so far. No, I won't talk about all that, it's too much. But I've recently decided to splash out and bought a whole load of books. Spent 60 or 70 pounds on books. Many of them recommendations from booktubers. And I've just started on one. The Beast. A Beast Slinks Towards Beijing. Alice Evelyn Yang, which came out this year, 2026. I've just read a few chapters so far. It's interesting. It's unusual, and this mixes Chinese folk traditions with a kind of a mysterious story. As I say, I've only read the first 4 chapters of it, so can't say a lot about what happens in it. But it's got me hooked, I think, and comes highly recommended from Savage Reads, amongst others. And I bought another book from Savage Reads on his recommendation. Not that he recommended it personally to me, but I just like the sound of what I said about it. The Need, Helen Phillips. Also looks a little bit of a mysterious kind of folk tradition type of a thing, but I haven't started on that yet. And because I paint, I bought this, which I've talked about. I have read this now. The Artist's Colour Manual, Simon Jennings. And yeah, it's about colour. The history of colour, how it's developed over the years. And now oil paints, watercolour paints and so on, everything is acrylics and so on are freely available. But of course, in the past, artists struggled to make certain colours, and some colours were very difficult to obtain, like blue. So blue made from lapis lazuli was very expensive. Therefore, in religious art, it was used for the robe of the Madonna, and that's the reason why it was regarded as a sign of excellence and a sign of virtue, and a sign that the artist or the one commissioning the art had spent a lot of money on that. And of course, the very earliest colours that were in the cave paintings and so on were the earth colours, ochres, yellow ochre, and all that kind of thing. And then, there's interesting associations because the colour purple was very expensive as well, and again that became a sign of opulence and wealth and power. You know, for the Romans, for instance, with purple robes and so on. So it's interesting the background to this, and I paint myself, so it's partly a practical book as well about the use of colour and the use of colour in our lives and so on. So I read that, and then as I say, a huge number of other books that I've acquired in this last splurge. So the last novel I've read is Anne Cleeve's The Long Call, which was great. I just picked that up in a charity shop for £1 or 50, even less maybe. The Long Call. And Anne Cleeve's famous for writing the Vera novels, detective novels. But this is a new hero she's started on. I suppose if you're a detective writer, like Arthur Conan Doyle, you can get bored with your detective. So she moves on to another one. She has created quite a few. But anyway, this is one called Matthew Venn. And it's quite a long novel, but as I was, sometimes what it is makes you decide to read a book. And for me, I sometimes read the first few sentences, or I pick out a random, like page 39 or something, and just see if it grabs me. See if the writer can write, and the style of writing and so on. But the first chapter of this is interesting. I mean, I don't write novels myself, but it's very cleverly done. I can admire it. Chapter 1. The day they found the body on the shore, Matthew Venn was already haunted by thoughts of death and dying. So that's the first sentence. And immediately, you start, oh, what's this body on the shore? Okay, there's a body on the shore. That you're going to get a body. It's a detective novel. But it's a good start. He stood outside the North Devon crematorium on the outskirts of Barnstaple. A bed of purple crocus spread like a pool at his feet, and he watched from a distance as the hearse carried his father to the chapel of rest. When the small group of mourners went inside, he moved closer. Nobody questions his right to be there. So again, that's interesting. So why he's obviously estranged from his father, and it creates, you've already got 2 or 3 questions going on. You want to know what's going on here. Why is he standing outside his own father's funeral and so on? And then that first paragraph ends. Matthew was angry, but he'd learned long ago how to hide his emotions. So that's how it starts. I mean, that's great. It's quite a long, for a novel of this nature, 370 pages, quite long, but it's really good. Really enjoyed that. Riveting. So I say I get a lot of I just look for recommendations and things around, really. I do get the London Review of Books. I subscribe to that. I don't necessarily feel I'm going to read many of the books that they review because they're often a little bit obscure and esoteric, uh, and books costing like 250 quid, which unless I'm really, really interested, I'm not going to really spend that much money on it. And and there's the TLS, Times Literary Supplement, which is more. I don't subscribe to this, but I think I might do. It has a slightly different flavour to the LRB, in that it tends to it does short reviews, but it also seems to include more the kind of books you're likely to go out and want to buy. Really, I've always had that impression. It's not down market or anything. It's just that it is more perhaps attuned to what readers actually read. So I have at least a dozen books that I've acquired without going through them all, because I've talked about a bit before. These are all ones I haven't read yet. Queen's Gambit, Walter Tevis. Something about Dracula. Never read anything about Dracula apart from Dracula. I just thought I'd have a bit of fun with that. Salman Rushdie, recommended by Robert G. Reader of Books. That set of essays looks good. and by the same author, The Knife, about his trauma. And then this huge book of Diana Attil, Life Class, The Selected Memoirs. So those are some of the things I'll be getting stuck into. So there we go. Thank you very much.